This idea came to me while I was in the subway, actually, and there was a really cute guy across from me. I am picky as hell, so the fact that I would see someone actually attractive on the subway. Anyway, if you're the cute guy across from me on the subway, if you happen to know who I was, whatever, shout out to you. But it got me thinking about how to use your birth chart to figure out how you're going to meet people that you get into relationships with. This is something that comes up every single reading that I do. It's always discussed, and it brings in the concept of house rulership and how to piece that story together. So before I even fucking unpack my purse, like anything, we're gonna sit down and talk about how to use your birth chart to see who you're gonna meet, how you're gonna meet them, whatever. Not who you're gonna meet, sorry. But how and what circumstance you're going to meet people that you're in relationships with. I'm in a really cute outfit, so we'll do a fit check afterward, but for now, I'm just gonna get into the astrology. So the way that we piece together the birth chart is that we look at how one house, one area of the chart is connected to another. And the 5th and the 7th houses in the chart are the relationship houses in a romantic sense, or could be a romantic sense. So the 5th house refers to creativity, sex, romantic relationships, and kids. It is an enjoyable, lighthearted, fertile, more playful part of the chart. So the 5th house will refer to dating and sex in your life. The 7th house is then committed relationships and partnerships such as marriage or business partners. Both are relationship houses. Obviously, the 5th house is more like the physical and romantic part. The 7th house is more of the commitment part. Seeing where the ruler of either house is in your chart will tell you what area of life either is connected to, and we're going to do this like step by step. So if you're new, you've never done house rulerships, then you can follow along. So I'm going to use my chart as an example. Not that, it can get annoying when an astrologer only uses their chart. I really don't tend to do that. I don't talk about my chart in like the monthly whatever videos, but for these, I think it's helpful because I'm not looking at anyone else's chart unsolicited. So in my chart, my 5th house is Taurus. Taurus is ruled by Venus. So you need to pull up your chart using whole sign houses and see which sign is your 5th house. You then identify the planetary ruler, and I will have an entire listing up, but Taurus is ruled by Venus. I have Venus in the 8th house of investing, of finance, of other people's baggage, of occult themes. I have some things in my chart which I will explain in after the house rulerships that do kind of negate this in a way, but having the ruler of the 5th house of romance and the 8th house of finance and investing could show that I meet people that I date through finance and investing, which hypothetically would make sense because I work in I'm a founder in crypto, but there's some things in my chart that do show that I just don't have romantic relationships really ever. I deadass don't know how they happen. I don't know how it works. I literally don't know how that progresses. I've had very few romantic encounters in my life. They were mostly just starting to date someone and then just quickly being no, but only I've literally only been things are a date 3 times in my life, so that's that. Hypothetically, however, though, the 5th house of romance is connected with the 8th house of investing and finance. So romantic relationships generally, for someone with the ruler of the 5th and the 8th, might come from investing or financial matters. This does not necessarily show that you have to work in crypto or finance or something like that. It can be you date your accountant, or you date people that are working in a whatever. The 7th house ruler for me is the moon. Because my 7th house is Cancer, Cancer is ruled by the moon, I have my moon in my 10th house of career. Literally all of my close friends, close relationships, all of them come from my career and have intermingled with that in a very healthy way. Any issues that I've had with friends that have been career related have not been because of oh no, I don't combine friends with career. It's been because of them being an unstable person, or me literally just not understanding certain career dynamics. I've never had an issue combining friends with career on the basis of friends and career. Any issue I've had with someone has been personal, not related to the career necessarily. So because of that, it shows that I have a connection between relationships and career. Ruler of the 10th shows up ruler of the 7th shows up in the 10th. So that's a pretty clear plot line that applies to my life, even if it's no romantic relationships. all my close relationships do come from my career. So using this logic, you can look at your own chart and see where the ruler of the 5th house is. That's how you'll usually meet people that you're like dating or involved with on a romantic level. And the 7th house can show where committed relationships usually tie into. The difference between the two is that you will usually meet where the 5th house ruler is. You will usually end up growing your relationship into where the 7th house ruler is. So you could say that I would meet people that I am dating in terms of in a financial or an investment area, and then my close relationships become a part of my career. For me, I have Saturn in the 5th house on my IC. Saturn in a daytime chart is not the most challenging planet. And this is a side note, this is a more advanced note, but for those of you who might understand or want to know how my chart does indicate that I don't really have romantic relationships, I have Saturn ruling my ascendant. It's ruling my 1st house of self because I'm a Capricorn rising, so Saturn is ruling my 1st house. It's in my 5th house of like romance and creativity, and I'm a very serious person when it comes to like everything. Like I film 15-second TikToks, I show off my outfits, but I'm like literally ask anyone, I don't take a single hour off. Like I don't know anyone who has the work diligence or like, I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm the most hardworking person I know because there's probably someone in like a growing crop somewhere that works literally like much harder labor, but I don't personally know anyone that works to the extent that I do or is like as insanely serious about creative things as I, or like lighthearted things as I am. So very much Saturn, planet of seriousness in the 5th house, but also the 5th house can be romance and dating, and Saturn can be a planet that says no to things. Like I said, I actually don't know how these things arise. And also like if someone's hitting on me, I like shut down. I become like, let's pretend, let's very childlike. Am I sitting childlike enough? Am I like someone today at this like party I was at was like kind of hitting my leg in a playful way, and I intentionally would be like I would act as if no one has ever like done that. And I fucking know. But I have to be like very, I don't know, that's my reaction. However, if you yourself have Jupiter or Venus in the 5th house or the 7th house, it might show that you have an abundance of romantic relationships in a really positive way. So by no means does Saturn in the 5th mean that everyone with that is going to have little to no romantic interaction in their life. But in my chart, I have Saturn in a very challenging configuration with Mars and Uranus and Neptune. So it paints the picture of me having a lot of lack in that area of my life. However, my moon, which is ruling my 7th house of committed relationships, is in a really positive alignment. It's not touching anything challenging, which shows that in my day-to-day relationships that are not romantic, but in my relationships, I have literally no issues. I don't have drama. If you're my friend, you know that you've been my friend for years generally. The only really issue I've had with anyone was publicly documented in my Vlogmas, which was like a freak accident of 20-year relationship ending because of the only boy that I've dated since I was like 17 for like a week, and it was just horrible. And yeah, but I have an extremely positive relationship world in my life, and like my friends and I have been friends for years, and we have no drama and like just amazingness. So that's an example of like how I would use my chart to see where I would meet the people that I do date and end up being in close relationships with. And if you have any planets in the 5th or the 7th house, like I explained with Saturn in my 5th house, you can see what energy then goes into relationships. So Saturn in the 5th, for me, it is severe enough to explain a lack of that. If you have Saturn in the 7th, that does not always mean you do not get married, you do not have relationships. Depending on if you're a day or a night chart, it can differ. Day charts, I would not say it's that challenging for either 5th or 7th house. I'm just in a freak alignment in my chart. If you're a night chart, it can be more challenging, but it also can show that there's an age difference, or there's like a very steady commitment. Saturn's a planet of commitment and of challenge, so depending on the way it's configured in your chart, it could either be literal no, this is not happening. It could also be challenges like, oh my God, I'm facing this over and over in this very distinct way. And it could also be there's a really significant age gap, but we've been married for 50 years. There's that commitment there in that way. So it differs based on the chart and the difficulty of it. But the important part here of realizing where you will meet or how you will meet the people that you're dating or ending up with is seeing where the ruler of the 5th or the 7th house is. So if we run through it, identify the sign of the 5th or the 7th house. You can use either one, you're gonna need both for the full story. Find the planetary ruler of that sign, see what house that is placed into. and I will have graphics throughout this video about like what the houses mean so you can connect the two. This is how you read a chart. You do not read a chart by being like, oh, Venus in Gemini, are you poly? Or like, oh, Moon in Capricorn, mommy issues. Like, you read a chart, impressively at least, by combining the rulers of the houses in a way that paints a story that can help someone piece together their life in a more cohesive way. No one gives a shit. Like, if you can read a delineation generally on like cafe astrology, that is not really like what's going to in my opinion, what's really gonna massively help someone. It's the rulers of the houses. If you want a more full video on that, do let me know. But I do hope that this was helpful in showing that the ruler of a house will tell you how that area of life ends up. It connects the two. Planets in a house will describe details about that interaction. And if you have Venus or Jupiter, Venus in a night chart in particular, Jupiter in a day chart in particular, even though either one is great, in the 5th or the 7th houses, it can show that this is an extremely positive area of your life. So like the career video I did, if you have comments about how your chart is configured, where your 5th or 7th house rulers are, do feel free to let us know down below, and maybe someone can help you out if you're curious. If you have like the ruler of the 7th and the 12th, you might be getting into things like meditation, or like meeting your future husband in a hospital waiting room. Like, there can be some weird configurations there, and some are more challenging than others. Like, I would say having the ruler of the 5th or the 7th and the 6th or the 12th is gonna associate those areas of life with something troubling, not in a bad way. Like, it could mean that you're a doctor and you meet someone who's a patient and they become, but like 6th or 12th are more overtly challenging houses. So even if you're not suffering, you're meeting these people in like a hospital waiting room, like that kind of thing. If you have the 5th or the 7th house ruler in the 5th or the 7th house, that shows strength. And if you're one of the lucky people who has the ruler of the 5th in the 7th, or the ruler of the 7th in the 5th, that is directly connecting long-term relationships with romance, which is a really nice tie that I love to see. So now that we have that out of the way, this is my outfit for today. It was really random and it just kind of came to me to wear this, but it works out, and I'm in the middle of a horrible lash stage where I have like 3 eyelash extensions left. So I'm using falsies on top, but like you can see the lash extensions below because they're like hanging. It's not that big of a deal. I like falsies every once in a while because they're more like pop-like and they're higher up on your eye. Anyway, we're rambling. However, this is the outfit that I wore out today. So this top is, I don't remember where it's from. It's from one of those like Instagram stores that's just a copy of one another, but it's really comfortable. And these pants from Dolls Kill, they are the Delia's collab. They're mid-waisted, which is a little weird because they're not quite high-waisted or low-waisted, but they're cute. They tighten, they have a little heart thing. I'm just in Gucci shoes because I need the white shoes because black was not going to go with this. And then I'm in my Virgo choker, and I do want to take pictures in this outfit, but I have a call with a possible investor in like 20 minutes, so I need to get going on that. Anyway, let me know your 5th house, 7th house combination down below, and I will see you in the next one.